Two cameras, same handlebar. One costs $600, the other costs $120. In bright daylight on a phone screen, you genuinely cannot tell them apart. So what exactly is that extra $480 buying you? Because insiders will tell you it's not always the footage. Sometimes it's just the logo. Here's the thing nobody selling you a camera wants to admit. In good light, a cheap cam and an expensive cam spit out almost the same clip. The price gap only shows up in three places: low light, wind, and whether the thing survives a 2-hour highway run in July without overheating and quietly shutting itself off. So this isn't some spec sheet reading contest. No sponsors touched this. Nobody gifted me a thing. This is the stuff riders learn the hard way, usually after their camera dies on the one ride they actually wanted to keep. 5 brands quietly overcharging you, and 5 that genuinely earn their price. If that sounds useful, go ahead and hit subscribe now so you don't lose this. Quick credibility note before we start swinging. Right now, the action cam world is basically a 3-horse race. GoPro for the ecosystem, DJI for battery and low light, Insta360 for that reframe and post trick. Everybody else is fighting over the leftovers. Keep that map in your head. It explains why half these overpriced brands got overpriced in the first place. Let's count down the ones robbing you blind. Number 5, Akaso, but only when it's not on sale. Hold on though, because Akaso actually shows up on both my lists today, and that tells you everything. The Akaso Brave 8 in the fancier models are honestly brilliant value at $70 or $90 on a deal. But Akaso keeps nudging that so-called list price up toward $230. And at $230, you're in DJI and GoPro territory, where Akaso just can't match the stabilization, the low light, or the audio. Great camera, wrong price. Buy it on sale, or don't buy it at all. Number 4. Innovv. These are the purpose-built motorcycle dash cam systems, the K5 and the K7 wired straight into your bike. And I want to be fair here. For 24/7 parking protection and loop recording, they genuinely do a job an action cam won't. But $350 to $450 for an installed system? The image quality per dollar is honestly rough next to a standalone action cam. The installs fiddly, often needs a shop, and you're paying a big premium for hardware that's just there. If evidence footage is all you're after, there are cheaper ways to get it. We'll get to those. Number 3, Drift. The Ghost XL Pro and the Ghost 4K Plus. Drift's been marketed at motorcyclists for years, and honestly, that bullet cam shape with the rotating lens does look great on a helmet. Long battery, tidy form factor. On paper, a rider's dream. Here's the problem. At $250 to $350, the sensor and stabilization are a full generation behind Insta360 and DJI at the same money or less. That rotating lens is a neat trick, sure, but the mainstream cameras got better and cheaper, while Drift mostly just stood still. You're paying today's price for last decade's guts. Number 2, camera integrated comms helmets. Think Sena 60S, the momentum-style camera helmets, camera plus mesh bundles. $300 to $450 and up. And look, I get the appeal. 1 unit, camera, intercom, done. No extra mount, nothing else on your lid. But you're paying a fat convenience premium for image quality that trails a standalone $200 action cam. And here's the trap. That sensor is baked in, not upgradable. When the camera tech dates in 2 years, and it will, the whole helmet dates with it. You didn't buy a camera, you bought a countdown timer with a chin strap. And number 1, the biggest logo in the room, GoPro, specifically the Hero 13 Black and that Creator Edition bundle. $399 for the body and around $599 for the Creator Edition. Deep breath, GoPro fans, because I'm about to be nice to GoPro in about 4 minutes. But not this version. That Creator Edition stuffs the price full of accessories most riders never actually touch. And for helmet mounting specifically, the newest Hero has no native 360 reframing, and its heat management and battery life on long highway runs are just okay. Insta360 and DJI deliver comparable or better stabilization for less. You're paying the brand tax and getting a warm camera that clicks off in traffic. Okay, quick pause. If any of this already saved you from a bad checkout, do me one small favor and smash that like button. It genuinely helps the channel more than any sponsor ever could, and it's the only thanks I ask. Now let's flip the script, 5 brands that actually earn your money. Before the countdown, remember the one rule the pros never shut up about. Stabilization beats resolution every single time. A rock-steady 4K 60 clip destroys a juddering 8K clip shot off a vibrating handlebar. So I'm ranking these on what actually makes footage watchable, not the biggest number printed on the box. Value pick number 5. Akaso again, but this time at the right price. The Brave 8 Lite in the EK7000 tier, sitting between $70 and $130. This is the honest budget hero. If you're a new or casual rider who just wants incident footage and the occasional ride clip, a sub-$130 Akaso with image stabilization gives you about 80% of the experience for a fraction of the money. It's not going to win awards in the dark. It doesn't need to. It's the smartest first camera a rider can buy. Value pick number 4. Yes, GoPro. Told you I'd circle back. But the smart move here is buying last year's flagship. The Hero 11 or 12, black, $249 to $299 when discounted. You still get hyper-smooth stabilization that's genuinely excellent, the biggest accessory and mount ecosystem out there, and rugged waterproofing that shrugs off rain. The difference between this and the brand new model is something most people literally cannot spot on a phone screen. Buying prior gens saves you $150 for a change you'll never notice. That's not a compromise, that's just smart shopping. Value pick number 3, the Insta360 Go 3S. This thing is thumb-sized, light enough to stick on a helmet peak or a chin bar without your neck feeling it after 200 miles. For touring riders, that ergonomic win is real, and it's around $399 for the 128 gig version. It's not your rugged do-everything cam, but for POV vlogs, quick B-roll, and those little detail shots that make a ride video feel alive, it's brilliant. And the tiny action pod with the screen gives you flexibility to actually frame your shot. If weight on your helmet drives you nuts, this is the one that just disappears. Value pick number 2, the Dji Osmo Action 5 Pro, around $349 for the standard combo. This is the one I hand to riders who care about pure image quality per dollar. That 1.3-inch sensor eats low light for breakfast, sunset rides, tunnels, dusk, it just holds up. But the real motorcycle superpower here is endurance. DJI wins the battery and thermal tests, hands down. It just keeps running on long, hot highway stretches when other cameras tap out. Add dual screens, strong rock-steady stabilization, and magnetic quick-release mounts, perfect for swapping between helmet and chin, and this is about as fuss-free as flat footage gets. And value pick number 1, Insta360, the X4 for 360 shooting, around $499, and the Ace Pro 2 for flat 4K and 8K around $399. For most riders wanting real flexibility, this is the best all-rounder value out there. And the X4 does something genuinely clever. It captures the whole 360 sphere, so you mount it once and pick your camera angle after the ride's already over. That invisible selfie stick trick gives you those floating third-person shots that look like a drone followed you the whole way. It kind of quietly made half your mounting accessories pointless. And the Ace Pro 2, co-engineered with Leica optics, brings serious low light and smart AI editing to the table. Now, quick reality check on the mistakes that ruin footage no matter which camera you pick. First, wind noise. It wrecks almost every helmet cam clip out there, and the fix, a foam wind jammer or a wired mic, costs a few bucks and almost nobody bothers. Sort that out and your audio instantly sounds twice as expensive. Second, your memory card. A cheap, slow card causes dropped frames, corrupted files, and flat-out 4K recording failures. Buy a fast, high-endurance card rated for continuous recording, not the bargain bin one. Third, mount security. An untethered helmet cam that flies off at 70 miles an hour is gone forever. And honestly, it's a hazard to whoever's behind you. Tether it, always. One more thing the insurance folks care about, loop recording with autosave on impact is worth prioritizing. Riding instructors increasingly treat a camera as dash cam style evidence. And if you ever need to prove what happened, That feature is the difference between having footage and having nothing at all. Set it up before you need it, not after. So here's the verdict. Plain and simple. Most riders grab the Dji Osmo Action 5 Pro for the best image and battery, or snag a discounted GoPro Hero 11 or 12 to save real money. Want those cinematic angles? Insta360 X4. Brand new and just starting out? A sale price Akaso does the job just fine. And what to skip? The Creator Edition GoPro, the camera built-in comms helmets, the pricey Innovv install, and any Akaso at full so-called list price. You're paying for logos, lock-in, and convenience, not better footage. Buy the shot type you actually want, not the brand shouting the loudest. The DJI battery just keeps rolling in cold weather when other cameras quit on you. And here's the sneaky part nobody talks about. The magnetic mounting system means you can pop it off at a gas stop in 2 seconds. No unscrewing required. That's the kind of small thing that actually matters when you're riding every single day. And value pick number 1. The Insta360 X4, around $500, so not cheap, but it's the one I'd actually put my own money on for touring. That full 360 capture means you frame the shot later. You never miss the deer that jumped the guardrail just because you were watching the road instead of the viewfinder. Now I know what some of you are typing already. Isn't 8K resolution just marketing? Fair question. Honestly, you're not printing billboards from helmet footage. But that extra resolution is what makes the reframing look sharp instead of mushy. When you crop into a 360 shot, you're throwing away pixels, so starting with more is kind of the whole point. Here's an objection I hear constantly. Why not just use my phone in a case? Because a phone case strapped to your handlebars is basically a broken phone waiting for the next pothole. No real stabilization, no wind resistance, and vibration will wreck the camera module over time. People learn this the expensive way. A $400 phone repair costs more than the camera would have. Let's talk about the thing that quietly ruins good footage. Wind noise. A $500 camera with garbage audio ends up sounding cheaper than a $100 one with a windscreen. DJI and Insta360 both handle wind far better, but do yourself a favor and grab a foam mic cover for a few bucks anyway. It's the cheapest upgrade you'll ever make. One more trap I want to save you from. The mount isn't an accessory, it's the whole system. A chin mount gives you the true rider point of view. A helmet side mount catches wind and ends up looking tilted. And whatever you do, use a tether. Cameras that fall at 70 miles an hour don't survive, and neither does the person riding behind you. So here's the verdict, plain and simple. Skip the $600 logo tax and the purpose-built stuff charging triple for a rugged sticker. For most riders, the DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro is the smart everyday pick, and the Insta360 X4 wins for touring. If any of this saved you money, hit subscribe. Links to everything are down in the description. Ride safe out there. If this saved you from an expensive mistake, hit like and subscribe so the next rider stumbles onto it too. Prices shift constantly, so I keep up-to-date links to every camera I'd actually recommend down in the description. Ride safe, film it well, and I'll catch you in the next one.